Hey everyone, welcome to the Xplainer. I'm absolutely thrilled you're tuning in today. You know, if you've ever found yourself wondering how uncontrolled blood sugar can just quietly yet drastically alter the human body, well, you're in exactly the right place. Today, we're zooming in on the complex plumbing and wiring of all things, your feet. This Xplainer is going to break down the precise mechanics behind diabetic foot complications. We'll look at how the body systems can break down, but, and this is the absolutely crucial part, we're really going to focus on how you can take back control. It's a fascinating, empowering journey, so let's jump right in.
Okay, so here's our roadmap for today. First up, the 3 root causes. Then, we'll hit 3 high-stakes complications. And finally, we'll wrap up with proactive prevention.
All right, part 1, the 3 root causes. Let's look at the actual mechanics of the disease. So, when the body is struggling to keep blood sugar levels in check, it doesn't just make you feel generally tired. It actually causes highly specific, localized damage. And your feet? They are incredibly vulnerable to this biological fallout. There are exactly 3 primary mechanisms. Think of them as root causes that go after the feet. Getting a handle on these 3 pathways is literally the key to understanding everything else we're going to talk about today.
Okay, because cause number 1 is ischemia. Basically, think of this as a major breakdown in the body's plumbing system. We're talking about poor circulation that affects both the large and small blood vessels. What's happening is that the inner walls of your arteries get coated and narrowed by this fatty substance. Imagine trying to force water through a pipe that's just slowly clogging up with sediment. There's just less and less room for blood to flow all the way down to your foot. Oh, and the source material points out a huge environmental factor here: smoking. Smoking actually makes this narrowing problem significantly worse.
So what does ischemia actually mean for you in the real world? Well, it's simple. Reduced blood flow literally stops healing. Your blood supply is essentially the body's delivery service for repairs, right? Without a robust supply, your skin and tissues just can't stay healthy. And if you get an open wound, it's going to have a really tough time healing up. This is exactly why health professionals routinely do that quick pulse check on your feet. It's a crude but super effective way to see if your delivery system is compromised.
And that brings us to the second root cause. If ischemia is the plumbing, well, neuropathy is the wiring. Neuropathy basically means impaired sensation. The actual nerves in your foot, and sometimes all the way up into the lower leg, have been physically damaged by the diabetes. Basically, your body's internal alarm system gets turned completely off.
Now, there's a tragic irony to all this. Pain is usually our protector, right? It tells us when something is wrong. But with neuropathy, you lose that. You can't tell hot from cold, and you can't feel the sharp pain of an injury. I mean, you could step on a literal tack or walk barefoot on a scorching hot driveway and feel absolutely nothing. Your feet are left completely vulnerable just because those warning signals are never making it to your brain.
And this broken wiring? It leads straight into our third root cause, structural collapse. Because the nerves controlling your foot muscles aren't firing right anymore thanks to the neuropathy, the actual physical shape of your foot starts to change. Your toes might start clawing, or the balls of your feet can become really prominent. This altered architecture totally changes how you stand and walk. It forces all this abnormal pressure onto parts of your foot that just weren't designed to handle it, which very quickly leads to calluses.
Moving right along to part 2, 3 high-stakes complications. Let's look at the outcomes.
So, those invisible mechanics we just talked about, the bad plumbing, the faulty wiring, the structural collapse, they set the stage for 3 really critical high-stakes complications. Just like there are 3 root causes, our source material highlights 3 direct consequences that we absolutely need to look out for.
The first and definitely the most common complication is a skin infection. People managing diabetes are at a profoundly higher risk here. And why? Well, thanks to that neuropathy, they might not even realize an infection is brewing until it's already widespread. So you have to rely heavily on visual cues. You're looking for distinct color changes, like white skin turning bright pink or red, or darker skin getting noticeably darker. Watch out for swelling that makes the area stiff. The skin might feel super hot to the touch, or even seep a yellow-green pus. And here's the kicker. While it might throb and be intensely painful for some, remember our wiring problem, many patients won't feel a single thing.
Which naturally brings us to the second complication, the diabetic foot ulcer. If a wound or infection doesn't heal up right, usually because of that poor blood flow we discussed earlier, it can turn into an ulcer. This usually kicks off when trauma hits one of those abnormal pressure spots on the foot. A callus forms, and right inside it, a wound opens up. It usually has this very distinct, circular, kind of punched-out look to it. The real danger here, It's often completely painless. And because it doesn't hurt, people unfortunately delay getting the medical treatment they desperately need.
Now, the third complication is pretty rare, but man, it is incredibly severe. It's called Charcot foot. This happens when that peripheral neuropathy gets so bad that the actual bones in the foot weaken. And because they're weak, they fracture way more easily. Sometimes it happens from just a tiny everyday bump or injury that you wouldn't normally even think twice about.
I really can't overstate the stakes here, because the neuropathy completely masks the pain of the fracture. The person has no idea their bone is broken. So what do? They just keep walking on it. All that continued weight bearing on fractured bones leads to some really extreme, disabling deformities. Getting an early diagnosis and treating it immediately is absolutely crucial to stop Charcot foot from causing permanent, irreversible damage.
Okay, part 3, proactive prevention. Let's talk about your tools for protection. Take a deep breath. We've covered some pretty heavy realities of the disease, I know, but this explainer is really all about empowerment. The source material lays out exactly 12 top tips for robust foot care. It's a clean split, 6 do's and 6 don'ts. These are the exact steps you need to stop these complications long before they even get a chance to start. So let's kick things off with the do's. All right, here's your proactive checklist. Fundamentally, you've got to control your blood sugar, and you need to get annual checks from a professional to officially assess your circulation. But your real secret weapon? Daily home checks. Because your internal alarm system might be snoozing, your eyes literally have to do the work of your nerves. Also, make sure to wrap your feet in natural fiber socks, cotton or wool. Wear proper shoes, and please, be super careful around hot surfaces like space heaters or hot water bottles. If you have neuropathy, you won't feel a burn happening, and those burns are going to have a really, really hard time healing.
Now, finding the right shoe, that's kind of a science in itself. And honestly, fashion might just have to take a back seat to function here so we can prevent that abnormal pressure. Always get your feet measured first. You're looking for a wide, round, deep toe box. You want exactly a 1/4 inch of space between your longest toe and the end of the shoe. Keep any heels under 1 inch, go for leather uppers if you can, and hey, if laces are a struggle, Velcro is your best friend. Just don't strap them down too tight, especially if your feet have a tendency to swell up.
Okay, let's flip over to the crucial mistakes to avoid, the don'ts. First off, never ignore abnormal changes. If you see color shifts or swelling, get it checked out. And please, I cannot stress this enough, leave the sharp tools, the razor blades, and those acid-based wart plasters strictly to the professionals. Don't play foot surgeon at home. Also, never walk barefoot. Remember that invisible tack on the floor we talked about earlier? You won't feel it, and it'll cause an infection. Skip the harsh, strong disinfectants when you wash your feet too. And lastly, a big reoccurring theme for today, don't smoke. It is actively destroying the exact blood vessels your feet are desperate for. As we start to wrap things up, I want to leave you with this core truth straight from the source material. Prevention is always better than cure. Honestly, outsmarting this condition comes down almost entirely to daily vigilance. Once you understand the actual mechanics behind ischemia and neuropathy, it becomes so clear exactly why keeping a close, daily eye on your feet is the absolute ultimate form of protection. This isn't just a bunch of medical theory. This is purely educational information that is designed to be applied immediately. Now that you know exactly how the plumbing and the wiring actually work, and you've got those 12 tools for protection in your back pocket, the ball is firmly in your court. So my question to you is, will you take the steps to inspect and protect your feet today? Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Stay curious, stay vigilant, and I'll catch you next time.